Hi, this is Murray again with Carter Cutlery. I want to introduce our brand new product, our 31-layer factory laminated steel knives. We're making these knives in both a neck knife form and also kitchen knives. I want to tell you a little bit about the steel because it's extraordinarily special. I've searched quite literally the world over for the world's best factory laminated steel. And I've been using a special laminate consisting of a Hitachi white steel core and SUS 410 stainless steel for over 20 years now, and it's a real breadwinner. It's a great material, and it's cost effective, makes a great knife that's easy to maintain, holds a great edge, easy to sharpen, etc. But this is one step up from that, and I want to tell you about the materials that these blades are made out of. Firstly, I stuck with the white steel core in the middle, the Hitachi white steel, because nothing in the world has the perfect balance of being able to take a razor sharp edge, hold that edge for an incredibly long time, and yet within the span of literally 2 minutes come back to a screaming razor sharp edge again. Even a layman can do that with just modest instruction. So nothing is as easy to maintain and perform so well as the white steel. So I stuck with the white steel. The outer layers, there's 16 layers on either side, are made of S25C, which is a Japanese steel. Its North American equivalent would be 1025, and pure nickel sheet. Now the S25C is a high tensile strength steel, and theoretically, at 0.25% carbon, it shouldn't harden when it's quenched in water after being forged in a pine charcoal fire. But as a matter of fact, when it's carefully forged in a carbon-rich fuel source and then quenched in water, it actually does take a certain degree of hardness. And that gives the blade tremendous strength, and the blades can be thinner than you would expect them to be because of that high tensile strength steel on the outside. But if it was all 1025 steel that's hardened a little bit because it's been quenched in the water, it would be difficult to sharpen. And that's where the pure nickel sheet comes into play. The pure nickel sheet gives the blade extra ductility and extra flexibility, and it makes it easier to sharpen. It gives it an element of stain resistance because the pure nickel sheet resists oxidization. And lastly, it gives it this absolutely stunning visual effect that is really beyond compare in any of the Damascuses. It's always been the nickel in Damascus that's been produced the most stunning patterns. So there you have it. We have beauty, we have strength, we have ease of sharpening, and we have that incredible Hitachi white steel core. So I'm sure you'll agree with me at this point, theoretically nothing can beat these blades, so long as I do my part as the bladesmith and work with this steel in an intimate manner and try to milk out the absolute full metallurgical potential that's in the steel. Now, 20 years ago, as I was trying to establish myself as a bladesmith in the industry, I had to set for myself some policies that I was going to abide by as a bladesmith. And one of the policies was I was never going to finish any kind of knife in a manner that would prevent it from being completely refurbished within 10 minutes. So my policy was, that no matter how the blade's finished, it's got to be able to be refurbished and refinished within 10 minutes. So that prevented me from using things like Duracoat and powder coats and gold wash and all sorts of different finishes that you could put on a blade that aren't very practical to refurbish or refinish, and you certainly couldn't do it in 10 minutes. So all of my blades hitherto have been a high polish, fairly rough but polished and easy to reproduce within the 10 minutes. Well, this blade I've left as etched, and I was wondering at first if that was going to work because that etch, that acid etch, it can get scratched, and with use, it could get shiny in some spots. So today I want to demonstrate that literally within the scope of 10 minutes, you can totally you can sharpen both the secondary edge and primary edge and refurbish this knife and re-etch it to as new condition in under 10 minutes. So not only is it metallurgically functional, but the finish is functional as well. As you can see, we have that nice as etched finish. You can see the black Hitachi steel core, and you can see the shiny nickel layers intermingled with the S25 seal steel layers. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to grind the secondary edge and put a new primary edge on it on my whetstones here. Okay, so as you can see, we have the as etched side, and we have the side that I just ground. And you can see where I ground is now kind of bright and shiny and no longer black as etched. Okay, so here we have again, this was what we started with, the as etched side. And here's the side that I actually took to first the 1,000 grit stone, and then secondly to the 6,000 grit stone, and I left it just as it came off of the 6,000 grit stone. Now what we have here is a bottle of PCB Etchant Solution from Radio Shack. Costs all of $11. That's all you need. And by the way, a whole bottle like this will last you forever doing this kind of work. And then all we need is a little bit of hand soap. We're going to use the hand soap, which is alkali, to neutralize the acid once we're finished etching. So all I've done here is, here's my bottle of acid that I use all the time. It's the same. It's the PCB Archer's Etchant. I'm just going to dip an old toothbrush in there, and I'm just going to wipe it back and forth. Be careful where you do this, over a sink or outdoors or something where you're not going to damage anything with this acid. But you just brush that on back and forth. Now, if you've got a finished knife with a handle, just be sure to be careful that the acid doesn't splatter or splash onto the handle of the knife. If it does, just wipe it off really quickly. Otherwise, you might get some discoloration on your wood. But if you're careful and you're just doing the blade and you're kind of just stroking your brush like this away from the handle, I don't anticipate you're going to have any problems. But that's it. It's done. Okay, so it took all of less than a minute. And again, be careful because it is acid, and if it splashes on your clothing or whatnot, you could end up with a hole in your clothes after they come out of the wash. Obviously, you might want to wear eye protection when you're working with acid, but this is a very mild acid. And then, again, rinse it off in your sink. Get a little bit of hand soap just to neutralize any acid that may still be on there. Rinse that off. Dry it off and oil it up, and now you can see that you now have the exact same finish on both sides. So it really is that easy. Do all the sharpening you want, polish up your sharpening with a 6,000 grit stone, take a little bit of PCB Etchant Solution from Radio Shack, and swab it on there and leave it on for a minute or so. Make sure there's no spots that might have oil on them that aren't getting etched. And then clean it with some soap, some hand soap, and oil it up if you so desire, and away you go. And that's just how easy it is to maintain the finish on this knife. And this is Murray with Carter Cutlery. We'll catch you next time. Stay sharp.